Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be talking about aquarium snails. Like a lot of beginner aquarists, I got snails in my tank, and at first when I saw them I felt bad about trying to get rid of them. But what I didn't realize at the time was how quickly these guys can multiply, and now a couple of months later I have dozens and dozens of them in my tank. For someone who's trying to go for a relatively aesthetic tank, it just isn't working out because they're crawling all over the glass, all over my hardscape, just absolutely everywhere, and I can't look anywhere in the tank without seeing them. Now, snails aren't the worst things for your tank health-wise. They actually will clean the glass, they'll eat stuff off of the bottom, so they're not gonna hurt your tank. But if you're like me and you're trying to have a really peaceful, calm, aesthetic-looking tank, and all you see is just hundreds of snails crawling all over the place, that's probably not what you're going for. So I've decided I'm going to get rid of them. If you're interested in seeing how I do it, follow along, because here we go. Hey guys, so it's been a few days since that first clip, and as you just saw, my first method was to pick out the snails manually. Now this was kind of successful. Over a few days I counted maybe 100 snails that I was able to pull out of the tank, but it's just not going to rid the tank completely of the snails. Even though I pulled out more than 100 of the little guys, there's just dozens and dozens of them still in there. They're just covering every surface, and I realize there's just no way I'm going to be able to get every single one of them. Even if I spend the next few weeks meticulously trying to pull them out individually, I'm going to miss something. They're in the plants, they're underneath everything, so they're just going to keep reproducing in the areas that I can't find them. I'm going to have to try another method, so let's give this second one a shot. as you just saw, I tried the food on a fork method, kind of a really rudimentary food trap for the snails, and I actually only gave this a try overnight. So I put it in there, left it for about 10-12 hours, came back in the morning and pulled the cucumber out of the tank, and there was only about 7 or 8 snails that had collected. It actually looked like my shrimp appreciated the cucumber more. So I just realized right away that this wasn't going to work in my tank. I've seen other people do it on YouTube videos, and I'm sure if you have enough patience to repeatedly just put the cucumber or a carrot or whatever you want to put in there as bait into your tank, you probably could catch quite a few of them over several weeks. But even when I was just pulling the bait out of the tank, there were snails falling off back into the tank, and it just wasn't going to work. I have an idea for a third method for getting rid of these snails, so let's give that a shot. All right, everyone, so as you just saw, my third method for getting rid of snails is assassin snails. Now, apparently these aren't actually snails, they're mollusks that are carnivorous, but they will hunt down the snails that are in the aquarium and eat them over time. I only put 2 of them in the tank, so I'm not sure how quickly they're going to eat through all of the snails that are in there. There are a lot of them in there. So it might take a couple of weeks, and if I see that it's just not happening fast enough, I might have to go back to the fish store and put a few more of those assassin snails in there. So guys, the great thing about assassin snails is this method is totally passive. You just put them in your tank and they'll go to work. You don't have to worry about picking out your pest snails individually. You don't have to create a trap. You just need to drop the snails into the tank and they'll do all the work for you. It might take a little bit of time depending on how many you put in there, but eventually the assassin snails will eat all of the pest snails in your tank. Something to keep in mind is that assassin snails are a permanent solution, so they will be in your tank permanently, and they can multiply themselves if you have males and females in the tank. So you may be replacing one problem for another if you don't want snails in your tank at all. So I'm curious to hear from all of you the methods that you've used to get rid of pest snails. Do you pick them out individually? Do you introduce assassin snails? Do you have some other method that I haven't tried in this video? Go ahead and put in the comments. Let me know what your trick is or what's worked best for you. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. It's a huge help for the algorithm, especially for a new YouTuber like me. So what I think I'm gonna do, everyone, is actually post another video in a couple of weeks to show the progress of this tank, see how quickly these assassin snails have been able to get rid of all the pest snails in the tank, see if it worked. And that way you'll actually be able to see a before and after of how bad the tank is right now versus how it's going to look in a few weeks. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.